What's going on, guys? Welcome to something completely different. This is the Kaotikast. Basically, the premise of this podcast is we're going to be talking about anything gaming news related or any sort of random topics that we actually want to talk about in podcast form. This is actually the first time I've ever really done like my own podcast, so a lot of it is really just going to be off-the-cuff discussions. But we do have a document that we follow, so we do kind of have a podcast structure, but a lot of it will be a lot of just off-the-cuff, free-flowing discussion, not so much strictly like a structured podcast or anything. But yeah, so with me, who is going to be my co-host throughout this podcast, we may have guests on here and there, but my co-host is Levy the Amish Man.
That's me.
Yep.
The guy that.
So a lot of this podcast is going to be focused around the recent Nintendo Direct. I saw some announcements from the Nintendo Direct, but I actually watched a lot of these announcements through the Geoff Keighley show, which is the I think it's like the Summer of Games or whatever the hell it's called. Some or not podcast, but some presentation that Geoff Keighley is doing for the new games that are coming out, or new game announcements.
Yeah.
So I actually did not watch it through the Direct, so there's a lot of announcements that I also missed. So we're going to be talking about that somewhat, but we do have a list here, and we're going to try to follow it. So I guess I noticed you have in the intro Robin Williams turned 69 yesterday. When was yesterday, by the way? Like, I'm guessing when you wrote this document. When you wrote this.
No, whenever I wrote this fucking list. And apparently I started writing it like on the 19th, 20th, like the day of like the Direct and all that shit. But I kept trying to add on for like the past 2 days. And since on the 21st he turned 69. It's just sad because I just looked up and I just felt really sad about that shit. Because like a childhood icon, like most people knew, and a comedian, a legend. It's sad that he's dead, and it kind of makes you wonder, what if he was still alive today?
Yeah, you have to wonder what kind of movies he'd be in. I mean, a lot of the movies he was in were comedies. Like he was in a drama thriller called 1 Hour Photo, but that's the only other kind of movie or different kind of movie he was in that I'm aware of that wasn't a comedy.
Yeah,
or like a kid's movie.
Yeah, it's like there's like a lot of movies that he was in. It's like most comedians like tend to like do dramatic roles. Like you have like
Jim Carrey.
Yeah, Jim Carrey, not with Cable Guy, with like the Number 23, where you play in a psychological thriller, and it's.
He was also in another movie called The Majestic. Which took place, I think, in the 40s or the 50s, and it was like a drama.
Yeah, it was like a drama about a guy who pretends to be a dead army, about like a dead army guy who was someone's son, and he was trying.
That was a Frank Darabont movie too, the guy that did The Walking Dead and The Mist.
The only good season.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, it's tragic. I'm tempted to use that one clip from 1 Hour Photo. It kind of gives me an excuse to where Robin Williams is talking about Neon Genesis Evangelion, which is pronounced Evangelion, but he pronounces it Evangelion.
What is Evangelion?
Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Neon Genesis Evangelion.
You know, because celebrities don't know anime, apparently.
It's funny because supposedly he was a fan of the anime. So that's he actually knows how to pronounce it.
Yeah, and he was like a big Zelda fan. Like,
yeah, hence the reason why his daughter's name's Zelda.
Yeah, and another thing that makes me sad is like he was in that commercial for like Ocarina of Time 3D, and it had both him and his daughter in it, and I'm like, that's sad. It's bittersweet nowadays, but it's sad to look at it now.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess the segment was just going to be mostly talking about Robin Williams. I mean, yeah, it's a shame he's dead. I mean, it's a shame when any celebrity, you know, who's well known and well liked ends up dying.
Yep.
You know.
Yep. But
I think back to celebrities like Heath Ledger, who just died before their career got the chance to really take off.
Yeah, like the only good roles that he was in, like The Dark Knight, that was the only good role that he was in, and then
I mean, he was supposedly good in, you know, like stuff like Brokeback Mountain, but, you know, it's not really the kind of movie I would really care about.
A straight man going gay, who would have thought?
Yeah.
But
then it is such a contrast for him to be in a movie like that and then, you know, Dark Knight. So
yeah, who he improvised most of his lines and body movement in that movie, and that's great.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, it's kind of like, speaking of dead people, apparently my house is haunted.
Yeah.
Because
Paranormal Activity.
Yeah, because now we're just gonna go on to, like, since we were talking about, like, the deceased, apparently I recently bought one of those, like, security cameras for houses, but it kind of looks like a damn webcam. But
yeah, some of those security cameras tend to look like that.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of cool, but at the same time, it's kind of noticeable. But I just, like, me and my girlfriend just, like, went outside, like, went somewhere for an hour, and we just had, like, we had it recording for, like, an hour. So that's how long we were gone for. And throughout the entire video, you see, like, little dots, like little orbs floating in corners of the video, and it's like, looked like fireflies and all that shit, like shooting stars, and it's just weird.
Have you seen Ghost Hunters?
Oh yeah,
where, like, they see those little orbs and they're like, oh, that means there's a spiritual presence in this room.
Usually.
And then they would, like, mess around with their audio because, like, to make it sound like something was doing, there was something happening in the audio recording.
It just, like, that's the one thing that it made me just seem like, yeah, this is just either dust or something fake. But what kind of, like, brought this, like, more to light, because you just hear one of my cats starts meowing and just talking to, like, whatever was there.
Yeah, typically in, like, horror movies, like, about ghosts or just, like, ghost shows, the animals are supposedly able to, like, sense spiritual spirits easier than humans or something.
They can see the paranormal and all that. Like even Supernatural, like, they did that. Like, one episode had, like, a dog starts barking because there was something possessed in there. It's like, huh. They could see the supernatural.
It still kind of blows my mind that apparently had a crossover episode with Scooby-Doo. Like, I kind of want to watch it just for that.
That's what I ended up doing, because it's like, I can't believe that they took a kid show, and put it with something that's not really for kids. And they just took everything that you knew and loved about Scooby-Doo, and they just completely fucked with it.
Yeah.
And I like that, because it shows, hey, this is real life, quote unquote.
Yeah, live action Scooby-Doo.
We don't talk about that one. Even though there's one of them or two of them actually got popular from that, which was Shaggy and Velma, because the person I played Velma is pretty hot, and she's actually in a Netflix series that's actually really good. But the guy who played Shaggy actually went on to voice Shaggy for many years.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know why. It's because either the guy who played Shaggy originally liked him, or he felt like, hey, I just need somebody. You played Shaggy. There you go. It's yours now. It's my legacy.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be either one. But I know with, like, the animated Scooby-Doo, they're just, like, there's so many different animated Scooby-Doo movies, and obviously the new one. I've heard very mixed things about that movie.
Oh, how Scoob was, like, mixed.
Scoob. Yeah. The only thing I really saw coming out from that movie was Dick Dastardly disguised as a woman, and that becoming, like, the thing people were horny on Maine for.
Dick! In that meme, it's like, there was, like, some funny things about that, and it's funny how Zac Efron ends up playing Fred.
I didn't even know that.
I didn't either until I looked up the cast for it, and it's fucking hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah, Zac Efron has ended up in some weird roles, but I think he's just really trying to break out of his him being, like, this Disney Channel person.
I mean, and it worked. You had what is it? You had him in Neighbors.
Yeah.
And
I mean, the same thing is true of actors like Robert Pattinson trying to break away from their their notoriety as being in Twilight.
Like anything that's considered bad, they try to break away from it.
But that one woman that I fucking forget her name. No. The one who played Bella in Twilight.
Oh,
like
Kristen Stewart.
Kristen Stewart. Yeah, like she's an okay actor, but she's like never really just gotten out of that being known for that role. Like I don't think she's been in other things, but she's just I don't know. She can be an okay actor at times, but it's just.
You just gotta give her the right role. That's like the most problem.
Yeah.
The biggest problem with actors nowadays is like if you don't give them a good role, they'll suck.
She was in a movie I really liked called Underwater, but like she just I noticed she just has a lot of problems really like emoting or just like kind of not having this like samey expression the whole time. Like it seems like it's really hard for her to like actually like have a lot of various emotions or anything. Like she's just kind of like the same the whole way through, or at least if she tries to act like she's upset about something, it doesn't come across very well.
She just looks very emotionless and bland. Like she's like super bored to be here.
Robert Pattinson, on the other hand, like he was like that in the Twilight movies, but in like the in like something like The Lighthouse, he was really good in that. If
I've heard that was a great movie.
For anybody who hasn't seen that movie, I highly recommend it because he's he has a wide variety of emotions in that movie, and like that was one of the movies that convinced me. I'm like, yeah, okay, this guy is legit like a good actor.
Yeah.
He just got a shitty role basically, and he just never been able to get out of that.
Then you had Willem Dafoe like play the crazy guy, which was great.
Yeah, like the both of them had like just really good chemistry together.
Indeed. I still need to see that movie, though.
Yeah, I recommend that. So, anyways, I guess we should go ahead and get to the Nintendo Direct Mini. I don't really have too much to say about this aside from the Shin Megami Tensei announcements because I don't really know a lot about what else was announced. So
yeah,
that's the only thing I'm really going to have much of an opinion on.
Yeah, because what was it? Like you mentioned the whole thing about Summer of Games, the Jeff Keighley conference that he had for it, and meanwhile, because that lasted like 2 hours long. Meanwhile, the mini was like maybe 10 minutes long. So I was like, "Fuck it, I'll just watch it and see what they brought up for it." And
yeah, it's weird because the Summer of Games had a lot of indie games shown too. So,
yeah, while the Nintendo Direct only had one indie game, which was like Cadence of Hyrule, which was the spin-off of Crypt of the Necrodancer, which the music is done by the same people, and like it plays just the same, but it takes place in the Zelda universe.
Yeah, that's a pretty interesting idea.
Oh, it was. I played it last year and I beat it. It was a great game. I'm just surprised that it's getting DLC for it.
Yeah, I suppose we should discuss the elephant in the room. So there is going to be a remake of Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne, and there's also, we got more, basically more revealed about Shin Megami Tensei 5. So yeah, there's going to be a remaster. I think I said remake. A remaster of Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne, which is coming out for the Switch and the PS4.
Yep.
Well, what we saw of it looks really like obviously just sharper visuals. It's going to have HD resolutions. So it's more or less, it looks like the original game, just with a new coat of paint essentially. So I'm pretty excited for it. I actually never got a chance to play Nocturne, but like I told Levy before we started recording this, I'm actually afraid of playing it just because I know how fucking hard it is. And I mean, if it's harder than the Persona games, it's definitely gonna be really difficult for me because I've only really played the Persona games. I played some of the Shin Megami Tensei games. Like I played some of Shin Megami Tensei 4 on the 3DS.
Yeah.
I liked what I played of it, but it is definitely hard.
Yeah, it's not baby's first Shin Megami Tensei game.
And I also played Devil's Survivor, some of the first one, and I liked it, but it's also fairly difficult too. So the SMT games are definitely a lot harder than the Persona games. Persona 3 is probably the most difficult one I've played so far, at least in the Persona games. So yeah, I do expect Nocturne to kind of give me a run for my money, but I'm excited for it. And then we have, obviously, Shin Megami Tensei 5. I don't really have too much of an opinion on it, but I am glad we finally got to see more of it, because I was hoping that we would see more ever since it was announced. Like, I think it was like a couple of years ago now.
Yeah.
So I was hoping we would see more, so I'm glad we saw more. Graphically, it looks really good. I like the style. It looks very similar to what we've been seeing with games like Persona 5 in terms of its art style. Maybe a little bit different, but still a lot of fairly reminiscent of it. So yeah, I didn't really get too much information with the some of the new things that were revealed. Just that, you know, we got to reveal the main character, and we also got some of the some other things shown off.
The plot, like what's going on in the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just like the same thing. I'm just saying, it's like, oh yeah, you get to dethrone God again.
Yeah, it seems like the SMT games kind of follow a fairly similar premise with each entry. It's from what I understand is like, it's some like apocalyptic event, and you're trying to basically, like you said, dethrone God, and but I do like that they seem to be a lot darker than the Persona games. Like, the Persona games are fairly lighthearted in comparison to some of the SMT games I've seen.
Yeah, like they're very lighthearted and actually are colorful, while Shin Megami Tensei is like very dark and somewhat gritty.
Yeah, because I remember in one of the trailers I saw for the new for one of the recent Devil Survivor games, like I just saw like one of the scenes was like I saw like a woman just being like ripped in half or something, and there was some like pretty graphic shit happening. I was like, wow, this is a pretty huge contrast from like the Persona games.
Yeah, it's like, what's like the most graphic thing you see in like Persona ever? Oh, people being crucified, or people being hung up on TV poles.
Yeah. Well, with 4, that was probably like one of the most the darkest thing to really happen in there. 3, obviously, as the game progresses, I think it just gets a lot more bleak. And then the first, I think really it's like the first 2 games that are probably deal with like the more heavy subject matter. Well, I guess you could say 3 deals with obviously some pretty heavy subject matter too. But the first 2 are pretty, because I guess because they're the most similar to the original SMT games.
Yep. In a way, because it's more like a dungeon crawler game until they broke out with 3.
Yeah. So what else was announced really that we have, or that I guess that you have an opinion on? Because obviously I didn't really see much else.
Well, I was gonna say like the whole Cadence of Hyrule thing, the DLC for it, like they brought out more music for the game, characters for the game, which all seems good and fair, but what really attracted me was the Symphony of the Mask, which was essentially a Majora's Mask theme type of DLC for it, like story. Mm-hmm. Which you just play as a Skull Kid. I'm just thinking, oh, this is going to be good.
Yeah, it being a Majora's Mask theme is pretty interesting.
Yep. And what else was? Oh yeah, Rogue Company. They actually showed off like what the game would play like.
I completely forgot about that game.
Yeah, and what was it? At Summer of Games, they showed off more of it, but
it was just a pre-rendered cutscene.
Yeah, but they showed off more gameplay for it. I think it either the direct or.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, because I do remember I saw on social, like I think it was on Twitter, I saw they actually showed off some gameplay, and I thought it was going to be like going to have a single player component, but it's just a multiplayer game. Yeah. So. I don't know, like that kind of, honestly, that sort of killed my interest, because I'm not too big on multiplayer stuff, so I'm just like, yeah, I might skip this game.
Yeah, like the multiplayer thing, like if it's done right, then sure, I might be invested with it, but at the same time,
it could be like a co-op. I'm feeling it's probably going to be more like a co-op shooter or something.
It kind of reminds me of like Siege meets Call of Duty, essentially.
Yeah,
but it looks pretty, it looks good, but it's very to me.
Yeah, it's basically just been there, done that.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
And what was the last thing that came out was like WWE 2K Battleground. It's like what it looks like to me is essentially kind of like NBA Jam but with wrestling.
Yeah. I haven't cared about wrestling games since I was a kid. I know there are people that still enjoy wrestling. I'm not one of them. It's basically, as soon as you find out it's all fake, it kind of kills it for you. I mean, some people, they're like, oh, I still love it, but for me, it's just like, as soon as I know it's all just acting and it's all bullshit, it's like, well, why should I have any real investment in this? Yeah. I mean, I guess you could obviously say the same thing about like any sort of TV show or movie or whatever, you know, because obviously that's fake too, but I would say it's different just because it actually like has, you know, there's more to it. There's more going on usually than just, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, like it's one of those shit.
It's performance art.
Yeah,
I guess you could say that's what it. Yeah.
That's the best way you could describe it. It's just performance art. Sure, like the storyline, like I, The Rock, am going to beat you. But no, I'm John Cena. I'm going to win. But it's scripted to make it look like, oh, yeah, The Rock might win. But no, John Cena takes the title.
And then they have those, like, fake, like, behind-the-scenes sort of, like, segments where they would confront each other in, like, the locker rooms or something. And they'd start a fight or something. And it's like, I'll meet you in the ring.
Or you get, like, what was it? I keep forgetting the guy's name. McMahon. Like the guy who,
Vince McMahon,
like he's in the fucking like hospital, and then what was it, Stone Cold Austin like beats the shit out of him.
People actually get like emotionally invested in these shows. Like I just find that kind of baffling, to be honest. I mean, I'm sure people are gonna get mad at my opinion about that, but I don't know. I'm just like, I just don't see how you get emotional about something like it. It's just because obviously it's so like overacted and obviously fake, and it's just like. I don't know. Maybe it's just like, I just don't. It's one of those things where I'm just like, I just don't get it. I don't know.
When you talk about Chaos, wrestling's real. Didn't you know that? Wrestling's real. Like the pain they feel, like the pain that they inflict.
Wrestle.
Like the pain that they inflict on each other, that's real, but the whole story is just fake as shit.
Yeah. Like storyline wise, it's like, it's so cheesy and it just, you can't, like, at least for me, I can't really get invested in it.
Like, I can't either. Like, if I wanted to, like, do wrestling, I just beat up people myself or just play fighting games.
Yeah, pretty much.
But
I feel like we spent way too long just talking about something that I feel like is pretty insignificant.
Well, we were talking about, like, the Nintendo Direct, which will lead me to this point.
Well, I was specifically referring to the WWE, like wrestling game.
Yeah, because it's like wrestling. Who cares? We sleep.
Yeah, it's like FIFA or Madden.
Yeah, like any sports games, no one really gives a shit about it except for like the select few.
Pretty much.
And speaking of the Nintendo Direct, the Nintendo fanboys, fuck them. They're idiots.
Oh yeah, okay. So I think you're talking about the people who were upset because they didn't get any sort of like nothing about what was it, like Mario.
They didn't get Zelda. They didn't get Mario, and the Persona fans didn't get Persona 5 on Switch. I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna be really blunt about this. Throw away your expectations. Like anytime you see a direct or a conference, you're just hyping yourself up for nothing.
Yeah, I mean, apparently this is fairly typical of Nintendo. Like, a lot of people will have these high expectations.
Yeah, they'll have...
for a Nintendo Direct, and then they'll just not end up getting what they're looking for.
Yeah, and didn't you see those dumbass thumbnails that go, this was the worst Direct ever? And it's like, who fucking cares? Like, they did the same thing whenever they, like, showed off Paper Mario the Origami King and WayForward releasing that Bakugan announcement.
I didn't even know what the hell Bakugan was until like you showed it to
I
me.
completely forgot what it was until I looked up what it was, and it's like fucking little balls you throw down, and it's it's a little figure. It's a dragon.
It's totally not Pokemon.
It's totally not Pokemon meets with Yu-Gi-Oh!
Or Digimon.
Or Beyblade.
Yeah, I think you said it was most similar to Beyblade.
Yeah, because you have like the toys and you let them fight against each other, but it's so stupid. Like,
yeah. I think these complaints, like, to me, it's like, I mean, this was the only real direct I would have actually been interested in, to be honest. Like, I do like my fair share of Zelda. I don't really care much about Mario anymore, so a lot of the things that would usually have been announced at a direct, honestly, I would have been fairly indifferent about. But the fact that we got news about new Shin Megami Tensei stuff is really interesting to me because I like that franchise. So, and not to mention, like, Shin Megami Tensei fans have been getting shafted a lot. Like, a lot of the focus has been more on, like, the Persona games.
Yeah, it's been, like, more on Persona or things that, like, they keep doing a lot. Like, with Persona 3, they only did, like, once with Fest, maybe Portable, and then they did, like, the animated movies and all that. And then Persona 4 became their cash cow for, like, the longest time.
And now Persona 5 is going to be the cash cow.
And now, Persona 5 is now the cash cow, because, what is it? They have, same thing with 4, a dancing game, a definitive version of the game with more content, an anime, which sucks because some of the animation that's just not even that good.
And they're charging $300 for a box set for the anime. It's
like, is your liver really, or your kidney really worth that box set?
I don't know who's to blame here, because I know Aniplex is guilty of overcharging for their anime releases. But
well, that's who's to blame.
But I think what else was there besides the Nintendo Direct? Okay, so all other new games.
I think we ragged on the Persona and Nintendo fans long enough.
Yeah. So before this, we even decided to do this podcast, there were some new things that came out about some new games, and a huge surprise announcement that I didn't see coming. That I think we'll just go in order here as the first thing we'll talk about.
I think we'll skip on the first one because I think that will like tie into the second thing.
Okay.
But yeah, a few things that he showed me, like there's the things that I saw and the things that he showed me. The one that I showed him was like Bomb Rush Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Which
apparently this is a spiritual successor to Jet Set Radio.
Well, that's the thing. We don't know. It's made by the same people who made Lethal League. But from what I have seen in that little 15 seconds, it looks like Jet Set Radio.
Yeah.
All that you need is a DJ that announces what you do. And you need some hip-hop to it, and you're good.
Pretty much. I still need to beat the original Jet Set Radio, because I think I have that game, but I never get around to beating it. I did like what I played of it, though.
Yeah, like, it's a good game. Like, when I first played it a long time ago, it was kind of hard. But now that I've gotten older, it's easier to understand.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty exciting. Yeah.
I just can't wait for it.
Can we get to what I want to talk about?
Hold on, there's two more other things, dude. Calm down.
Okay.
The thing that you showed me, which was like Yakuza 7 or Like a Dragon.
Like, yeah, the title is weird too, because it's Yakuza 7 Like a Dragon, but the I think the title in Japan is something like a Dragon. It's always been Like a Dragon, so the title is like a Dragon,
yeah.
or something like.
Or it's supposed to be like Spirit of the Dragon or some shit, but it's like,
yeah.
Like, when he showed me the trailer for it, I was expecting, okay, there's going to be some Japanese audio with English subtitles. And then there's one thing that I didn't expect to hear. English.
Yeah, well, I will say I'm not too surprised by this, because they did do this with their more recent game, Judgment.
Yeah.
So I kind of expected them to possibly do this with some of the other games.
The Judgment dub wasn't even all that bad, and from what I've seen of the dub for Like a Dragon, it actually sounds good.
Yeah, apparently George Takei is in it too.
Oh god, really?
Yeah, he is. When I saw that, I was like, "What?
What does he? Who does he play?"
Some older guy with a hat, like he wears a hat and a trench coat.
Oh my!
Yeah.
What next? They're going to bring in the original actors for Majima and Kiryu in it.
Mark Hamill?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, apparently Mark Hamill doesn't even remember voicing Majima or some things. So
it was like
I don't know, but He could come back for it.
Yeah, he could, because now Yakuza is like considered to be like one of the Sega staples to their company.
Yeah, it's it used to be more of like a niche franchise, and now it's gotten a little bit more like mainstream notoriety.
Yep, it's like both game critics and gamers nowadays.
Yeah.
And then the other one that they showed off more of Samurai Jack, the game.
Oh, so I guess I should ask, what do you think of Yakuza 7 being more of like a turn-based game as opposed to like a brawler?
To like what it originally was? Honestly, yeah. I'm kind of disappointed that it's now turn-based, but at the same time, I'm kind of interested to see like what they're gonna do with it.
It seemed similar, like when they initially showed off the gameplay for it. It seemed fairly similar to how they did it with like Persona 5. So it seems like they're kind of doing a very similar kind of turn-based system, or turn-based combat system to that. So I think that could work pretty well.
Well, what the producer was trying to do, or I don't know who was involved, but apparently one of them...
They're trying to make it more like a Dragon Quest game or something.
Because that was like one of his favorite games, was Dragon Quest.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not opposed to it. I just think it's... anytime you do something like this, it is going to be fairly divisive with people. Like, some people are going to like the new direction, and then others are going to not like it, because obviously the series has always kind of been known more for being a brawler, you know, a series or something. It would be like if you took something like... maybe it's not a good comparison, but maybe, you know, you took something like maybe like the Resident Evil games, and like the new one is like a strategy game or something like that. It's like... yeah, it's like
which strategy game were we talking about here? Are we talking about like...
Well, I don't know. But, well, okay, maybe I guess it would be better, like more maybe accurate to how the series is, to maybe say it was maybe like a tactical RPG, I suppose, or something. Like maybe you have like a squad, like you're an Umbrella squad or something. And now I'm just like getting flashbacks to like Operation Raccoon City.
Yeah, it's not good. Like you're trying to like sneak through and like fucking just get past zombies or kill zombies, but you gotta be quick about it.
Yeah.
Jesus. Wait, turn.
Yeah.
Zombie kills you. Fuck.
Like I said, maybe not the best analogy, but my point is that it's always going to be a little bit divisive when you take a franchise that's always been known for like one particular genre and make it like, I don't know if I'd say maybe like a completely different genre, because I guess you could argue like, oh well, Yakuza's always had like RPG elements to it, but it's also been more like action based. So I guess you could say it's not too big of a departure if you like make it more of just a turn-based RPG as opposed to like a brawler that has like certain RPG elements to it.
Yeah, because like the original series was.
Yeah.
But now I'm gonna go back to what you're saying, like a game that would like make a game tactical RPG. Look at Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle. Or
yeah.
Mario XCOM. They took a Mario. They made Mario and Rabbids into a tactical RPG, which actually worked.
Yeah, it can work. It's just, you know, it's a crazy idea, but and then a lot of the time, I will say, it doesn't usually work, but sometimes it can. So, you know, you never know.
Yeah. I also love how we just went to Samurai Jack and we're just like, oh, nope, that's it.
Well, I mean, okay, so yeah, I saw the gameplay trailer for it. It looks good. It like obviously very, very similar art style to the show. So graphically, like you're not going to be blown away by it or anything, but gameplay wise, it looks more like more of like an action game. You know, like a sort of hack and slash elements, I suppose. So I mean, you know, it looks like it'd be fun.
It does.
Don't have too much of an opinion on it, to be honest.
Like it does, but the problem is though, is now you gotta look and see who did it. Let's see. I'm trying to remember like who made it. Battle Through Time. It is. Oh, they don't really. Now I completely forget who makes the goddamn game.
It's just too on-the-fly research.
Yeah, it's like on-the-fly research. Because I know a lot of people, when they saw the developer for it, they immediately go, no. Oh, Soleil.
Who?
Soleil Games. What did they make?
I don't think I've ever heard of them.
Valhalla Studio. That's not them.
I still need to rewatch the show because I did get some references in the game. They showed in the game because I do remember parts of the show.
Well, apparently they say that this game is made by the people who make Devil's Third.
Ooh.
That's why people were like, "No, this game's gonna suck."
Yeah, I don't know who you could really blame for that. If you should blame, like, because I thought that was from the dude that did the Ninja Gaiden games, wasn't it?
I think so, but I don't really know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it could still be good, but so I mean, but it is also good to have some skepticism about it, I guess. Especially if you're coming from a game like Devil's Third, you're really gonna have to try to impress people with this game.
Yeah, you have to really try hard because that last game was a failure.
Yeah.
And now we'll talk about the one game you were really excited for this.
Yeah. So this this basically just like information or the announcement for this just like dropped last night, and it just completely took me by surprise. But yeah, so there is going to be a remake of the original Fate Extra game in the Unreal 4 engine, and from what I've seen of the gameplay, it does look fairly similar to the original game. I'm assuming there is obviously going to be some refinements with the combat and such, but it's basically like taking the old game and just putting it in a new engine and just completely reworking it. So it does look amazing. Like Unreal Engine 4, I've been really impressed with like a lot of the games I've seen that utilize Unreal Engine 4, like Final Fantasy VII Remake. But this looks really great with it, and it's obviously keeping like the cel-shaded art style of the original game, but just with updated visuals. So yeah, I'm really impressed with what I've seen of it, and it's definitely, I think, a game that really did deserve a remake because it was originally on the PSP. So it really is a game that really needed one. So I'm glad we're getting it.
Yeah.
The only question is if like I don't know when we can expect it to be released, because there was no information about a release date. It only said it's still in development, so we don't really know anything else about it, unfortunately.
What if it becomes like Kingdom Hearts 3 and all the other games that are now in development?
Okay, I don't say that.
But they don't come out till like many years later.
Yeah.
Or what if they do the ultimate sin, which is give them the people in the States high hope for this game, and it's like, oh no, this is Japan only.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it probably will come out here just because, I only say that because, like, the Fate Extella games have come out in the West, so I think we can expect this one to probably get a Western release too.
Yeah, but
as for when it's going to come out in the West, I don't know, because I do remember, like, the Extella games did come out in Japan, and then I think either they were shortly thereafter released in the West, or either released in the West alongside the Extella, like, aside when the games came out in Japan too. So it's hard to say. I want to say it's probably going to come out in the West, but it sucks because like we can get a release of this game to come out in the West, but we cannot get like an official Western release or an official translation or official release of the original Fate Stay Night visual novel, which is a shame. Like which came out many years ago now.
Yeah, it's like, because what was it? Fate Extra had a what do they call it? A companion game.
Okay, yeah. So Fate Extra had a sequel that only came out in Japan. It was called Fate Extra CCC, I think.
Yeah, but it was more of a companion game. It was like what took place like after like an alternate storyline ending. I think it was.
Yeah, something like that. We never got it over here, unfortunately. So I'm hoping that maybe if this game gets a lot of attention over here, it gets a lot of sales here, or in Japan, they'll hopefully do like a remake of that game too.
Yeah. But the problem is like it all depends on the studios in Japan, because most of them don't really localize anything outside of the what was it? I was going to say the West. Like anything outside of the West, they don't really send it over.
Yeah, well, I do know that I think it was like Marvelous that did the Extella games. So maybe they'll handle the localization of this one.
Possibly.
Because I think they did the original one too. I could be wrong.
What was it called? Extella?
Well, Extella, and I think they might have also done Extra, but I could be wrong about that.
No, Titan Moon was the people that made Extra.
Well, yeah, I know they're the ones that made it, but I think Marvelous had a hand in the Extella games.
Yeah, and now what was it? Extella was actually done by Marvelous, and it actually was done really well. But I just think it's really pointless because it's like we get a game in the States, and then Japan's like, "Hey, here's a companion game. You're not getting it. This is our game."
Yeah, pretty much.
Anything that they have, I understand why, because there's some things that it would go through hell and back with censors and all that shit.
Yeah, it's almost to the point where it's like, I'm kind of afraid sometimes when some games get released over here just because of how censored the hell they are at times with some of the certain localizers. I know in particular with Sony, they fucking love to do this with anime games.
Oh yeah, they'll love to censor everything to hell and back.
And I will say a lot of the reason for that is because their headquarters has moved to California. So they're like really censor happy over there.
Very censor happy.
It was like the worst idea I think Sony's ever really had. So now, like, you know, some of your games are going to suffer for it, and people aren't going to want to buy it because it's been so heavily censored.
Yeah, it's like you like titties, you like Japan anime titties. Well, too bad we censor that. But you like games that have like hardcore violence and really poorly designed sex scenes,
and literally have a sex scene.
Yeah, and it's like poorly animated, and it looks like other dog shit. Well, that's perfectly fine. It's made in America.
It's just so clear where the double standards are with their quote unquote censorship.
Yeah, it's like really out of place.
There's this really, I guess just to go a little bit off topic, there's this really weird war on like anime stuff with people of certain ideological leanings, let's just say, who don't seem to like anime titties, and they want to just completely censor any sort of anime titties, but lesbian scissoring is totally okay.
Oh yeah, that's perfectly a-okay in our book, apparently.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great. Now you have that stuck in your head, didn't you?
Yes, this is an image I did not want. Okay, are we gonna like veer and use that to go into the Japan sucks at localizing shit?
I thought we were talking about that.
Okay, because I just saw that. I didn't even know that we were like.
That's what we were talking about. Because apparently,
I was mainly talking about how the West sucks at that too. Because
no. Okay, if we like this have like little title like what we're talking about, we should have Japan sucks at localizing shit, and Sony sucks at censoring shit.
Yes, that they do.
Because they, like you said,
both are true. Yeah.
And then back to the whole thing about localizing. Like, what was one of the games that came out that was like completely meh? I think it was like Final Fantasy Type 0 was one of those games that when it finally got localized in the States, people were like hyped up for it, and it turned out to be a big disappointment.
I didn't even know there was like a lot of hype surrounding it. I just I got the game and I played it, and I just wasn't really that impressed. So I didn't even know there was any hype surrounding that game.
I actually was somewhat excited for it because I bought the game, both Japan, the Japanese import, and the HD version when it came out. But when I played the HD version, I was like, this is bad.
Yeah. I don't remember too much about it. It's one of those games I really think I'm going to have to go back and replay. Because it's been so long since I played it now, but I just remember not being all that impressed by the game.
Yeah, and it's like it was bad. It was supposed to be like you are a student at the academy, at a magic academy or some shit.
I just remember they don't really give you any sort of information on like who the hell these characters are and what the story is or anything. They kind of leave you in the dark about a lot of stuff.
But you get to see Ifrit getting killed, and Baphomet getting destroyed.
Yeah.
Oh no, the staple summons in Final Fantasy being murdered. Oh god, that was sad.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't say I have too much of an opinion about the game, so hopefully people won't jump down my throat too much about that.
I don't think that anyone cares, because it's one of those games that no one really cared about. But,
yeah, true.
But then comes games that people do care about. Mother 3. How that...
A game will never get...
Yep, never get localized, but there's a fan translation. Just download it on your emulators.
Oh yeah, there is that.
And it's actually a good translation too, so yeah.
Well, I guess we can go right to the next topic, which is more relevant. Ghost of Tsushima, or Ghost of Sushi.
Ghost of Tsushima, yes. That game is real. That game is actually surprisingly good.
Yeah. From what I've played of it so far, I've really been enjoying the game. I really love the art style and just the general atmosphere and the setting. I'm a sucker for the feudal Japan setting, and any game that utilizes it, I fucking immediately love. And this game just really has taken that and just really brought it to like it being an open world game. I think is like the best thing that could have been done. With that kind of a setting. But yeah, so there's speaking of controversy, there was a lot of controversy surrounding this game as well. Mostly for the dumbest of reasons, actually. Mostly because it was made by Western developers, and it was Western developers trying to depict a culture that is not a Western culture.
Yeah.
And you cannot do that in this day and age.
Yeah.
That is bad and wrong.
Yeah, like I looked at the whole controversy about apparently Sucker Punch, who is well known for the Sly Cooper games and the Infamous series. They actually made a game that's outside of their comfort zone with all the fantasy and all that shit. They made a game that actually takes place in an actual time. And now all of a sudden it's like, oh, hey, American developers made this game. Oh, it's insulting to the Japanese. Boycott the game.
It's funny because the Japanese... Okay, so the funny thing about this is the Japanese reviewers love the game, and so do the Japanese public in Japan, because the game is apparently selling like hotcakes over there, and copies in Japan are actually hard to get a hold of. Meanwhile, copies of games like The Last of Us 2 are very readily available, and there's plenty of them just sitting on store shelves collecting dust. And it's so bad in certain Asian countries to the point where they're being sold with like it has a buy two get one free deal or something.
Yeah, it was like buy 2 or 3 games and get Last of Us 2 for free, because no one liked it in Japan. But meanwhile, Famitsu gave the fucking Ghost of Tsushima, they gave it a perfect score.
Yeah, it's a very big contrast to some of the Western game journos reviews of this game, and just them basically having to put like a how they're not okay with it, you know, the cultural appropriation of the game or whatever the hell they're upset about with this game. They have to virtue signal about it.
Yeah.
Whereas Japanese journos just seem to love the game, so it's just very funny how there's just a night and day difference with the how people have been talking, how the different cultures have been like talking about this game.
Yeah, they're like, oh, Americans made a game about us. Sweet.
Yeah. I guess we could also kind of veer into the subject of apparently Neil Druckmann praising the game.
Yeah, I actually have the tweet,
which
right
is
here.
It's funny.
Yeah, let's see. Rolled credits on an amazing game. Swipe down to show respect for what this team pulled off. So, let me get this straight, Neil. You're praising a company. You're praising a game that actually has a good story?
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
Yeah, it's just, I find it funny. Like, I feel like he's praising it, but on the inside, he's like internally screaming, or he's actually like so pissed, but he can't, like he has to remain like. has to maintain some degree of professionalism about it. But I feel like on the inside, he's just like, it's like that internally screaming meme where he's just like, my game was a masterpiece, and you know, it should have sold as well.
Oh, it's totally a fucking masterpiece. Tell me, Neil, why is it when I went to go buy Ghost of Tsushima, there's like a shitload of copies of Last of Us 2 still on the shelf?
Yeah. But it's just, I really wish we would have started this podcast back when a lot of the shenanigans with that were happening, because we would have topics for days about that.
For days on end. But yeah, speaking of Druckmann, what the fuck happened to Last of Us? Like, what happened?
Identity politics and woke culture happened. Basically, current year happened, I would say.
Yeah, it's like he like listened to the wrong people, and he sent out the wrong people that made the game great in the first place.
Yeah. The culture at Naughty Dog, if the claims are to be believed, is a nightmare, and there's just so much internal division in that studio, as well as the crunch culture and basically the wrong people being let go. It's just a perfect storm of shit that happened where the game just, you know, with The Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah, especially with that one, because that's just like character assassination, one after the fucking other.
And now, of course, people are kind of just using Ghost of Tsushima as a way to kind of throw shade at Last of Us 2, because, you know, obviously this is the next big game to come out after The Last of Us Part 2, and it's, of course, receiving much better reviews in comparison, and just being praised, you know, by pretty much by critics, or at least certain critics and the audience alike, as opposed to something like The Last of Us Part 2, where there was just such a huge divide between the audience and the critic reception.
Yeah. Like, it became a massive divide, that there are people that love the game, but hate the game at the same time.
It's the same thing with with certain movies and games. Like, you can't really get away from it in terms of, you know, with entertainment, which is a shame. Like, there's just such this huge divide between, you know, critics and audience, and it's just there's an obvious reason why. It's just because a lot of these quote unquote critics, they're not really saying how they really feel about certain things, and a lot of it is just, you know, bribery. The certain studios and certain movie studios or game studios basically saying, hey, if you don't give my product a decent review, then you're not going to get your exclusive pass, or your journalist pass to come and test or look at the early builds of my game, or like screenings of my movie.
Yes.
Or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, it's just really...
It's just such this corrupt... It's a lot of just this corrupt culture within, you know, and this just corrupt relationship, I guess you would say, between the professional critic and the game studio or the movie studio or whatever. It's just gotten so much worse, and I feel like the current year shit has just made all that even just that much more obvious, I guess.
Yeah, it's like with the whole thing of like how journalists is like being thrown under the bus now for like trying to review a game. It's kind of like them trying to say, "Hey, do you have the credentials to review our game? Do you have what it takes to actually play this game? Oh, what's that? You don't like the genre of game this is? Well, you have no right to talk about it."
Yeah, but I guess that all being said, we can. Well, actually, that would perfectly segue into the Metacritic debacle, because apparently, well, also with both The Last of Us 2 and with Ghost of Tsushima, with The Last of Us 2, this is where this shit really began, because supposedly because of quote unquote review bombing, which I'm not saying it doesn't happen, I'm sure it does. But I feel like a lot of the review bombing claims were massively over exaggerated, and I don't think it was happening quite as much as certain people would like you to believe it was. People were just mad because of how the game turned out, and I don't feel like you should you should stifle those opinions just because you don't necessarily agree with them. But either way, so basically what happened with The Last of Us Part 2 is that a lot of reviews reviews that were rating the game lower were being locked. You weren't able to post them. Like, there would be some kind of an error every time you would try to post it. And a lot of people were thinking that was because the Metacritic was trying desperately to protect The Last of Us Part 2 from being rated any lower than it was by the audience.
Yeah, they're trying to, like, protect it, and they're trying to, like, keep it, like, hey, you hadn't played the game yet, you have no right to talk about it. But...
And this... Something similar, like, I won't say it's the same, but something weird did happen with Ghost of Tsushima, where certain people were not able to post their reviews until, I think it was the 19th.
Yeah, it was essentially their way of saying, oh, hey, do you have this game? You don't?
Yeah.
Well, you can't talk about this game. You gotta wait till the 19th.
It's funny because this kind of mirrors a certain similar situation with Rotten Tomatoes, and there being this huge, well, I guess you would say somewhat of a conspiracy with, like, these reviews and people reviewing certain movies too low, and them not, basically Rotten Tomatoes not wanting you to post bad reviews of certain movies. Or if you've seen a movie and you're going to leave a negative review, you need to actually, like, show that you've seen the movie. Like, basically prove that you went to see the movie at a theater.
Yeah,
It's basically, you need to prove that it's just such a ridiculous thing, for you to, have you actually played the game? Have you actually seen the movie? You need to show those receipts. Like, I don't agree with that. I feel like, especially, like, with certain games, like, in particular, for example, for, like, The Last of Us Part 2, or even, like, David Cage games, like, how do you judge that if, for games that are basically have minimal gameplay and are very, you don't, or just mostly like movies.
Yeah.
They're so cutscene heavy and they're so story focused to where, like, if you've seen enough of it, it's like, well, I already have a pretty solid opinion of this, and I don't really want to play it, or I don't have to play it to know that I don't like it.
Yeah, it's like you can watch it's like you can watch a video about a game or about anything, and that can also be a judging factor if you like it or not.
Yeah, it's just such a dumb, like, I don't know what you'd even call it, like a prerequisite, I guess, for posting a fucking review.
It's like you need a prerequisite, like, hey, have you played this game for longer than 3 hours?
Yeah, it's really stupid. But yeah, so I guess what else?
It's like, well, I could just say, like, another thing is, like, for the people that, like, review bombed Last of Us Part 2, but yet they can't review Ghost of Tsushima. It's just really surprising how it's now come to that.
It's just starting to become really obvious where the biases lie with certain companies and certain people.
Yeah, with certain people and what people like nowadays.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, great segue to this one. I figured, like, at the end of, like, the podcast, we have two recurrent things. It's like what we like either this week or recently. It could be like one or two things.
So can this just be like anything?
Yeah, this would be about anything. It's like, it's pretty... I think we already know what we like this week.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess the relevant thing for me would be... I just started playing a couple days ago, but Ghost of Tsushima. I fucking love Ghost of Tsushima. But I guess for something that's not video game related, like for stuff I guess I'll talk about maybe like movies or shows I've been watching. I've recently just started, I might do a review of it, but I just finished the first season of Bates Motel on Netflix, and I just got around to watching the show. It's been around for a while now, but I've actually just got around to watching it, and I kind of am slapping myself for not having watched it before, because it's I feel like I'm enjoying it about as much as when I first started watching Hannibal.
Yeah, that's another great show.
And that was a show that I slept on for a while too, and I hate myself for it because it was such a good fucking show. and it did not deserve to be canceled. Damn it!
No, it didn't.
It's always good shows that get canceled, but fortunately, I think Bates Motel did not get canceled. It actually finished out its storyline, and it lasted for 5 seasons. So I just finished the first season. I hear it does get a little bit, I don't know if I'd say bad, but apparently people are mixed about some things in season 5, so I guess I'll judge for myself when I get around to it. But it's a pretty good show, and it's something you don't really need to watch, like, because it's a prequel, or supposedly it was a prequel to the original Psycho movie, but I would say that it's more like a remake or reimagining of Psycho, or at least, you know, Psycho before the events of Psycho happened in like the modern day.
Yeah, with this, it's essentially the Norman Bates with his mother.
Norman Bates.
I was going to say Nathan Bates.
It's basically Norman Bates as a teenager moving to the town where the motel is and opening up the motel with his mother, and of course all the it's not even so much about like it kind of is. Like, I'm actually surprised because it doesn't focus so much on Norman Bates himself and his like origin as like a crazy serial killer or like a killer. It actually focuses more on like how the town they live in is kind of corrupt, and there's like a lot of different things happening in it, and how like the police are corrupt, and everybody around them are kind of like sort of criminals, or the town is kind of certain people in the town know that bad things are happening, and they just don't really say anything about it. It's pretty interesting. Like, I definitely didn't expect that to kind of be more like I don't know if I'd say the focal point, but like one of the more important things in the show. Obviously, Norman Bates being crazy is like touched upon at certain points, and it does end up being more important as the season goes on, but for the most part, it focuses a lot on some of these other things, which actually isn't a bad thing, because I find that interesting, because there are all these mysteries about the town that kind of get built upon as the season goes on.
But there's a serious question. Do they do the Psycho bit with the shower?
Nope.
Well,
No,
well, fuck.
There is a lot of really weird things with Norman and his mother, because if you know anything about the original Psycho movie, then then that shouldn't be too surprising.
It's like a hard pass.
Yeah.
It's like,
I think it would be Sigmund Freud's favorite show.
Yeah, if he was still alive today.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like same thing with like games, the same thing I would say, but I kind of like had like a few other games I played too. It's like Ghost of Tsushima was one of them. How it's actually really impressive how Sucker Punch actually made a really good feudal samurai game.
Yeah, and I mean it's surprising at how like faithful and how accurate it is really to like certain aspects of that culture, so considering it's, you know, Western game developers doing it.
Yeah, it's actually really good that they do that shit.
But I think it's just really obvious they're just obviously really heavily inspired by stuff like Kurosawa movies, especially because there's like a Kurosawa mode in the game too, which makes the game black and white.
Which, fuck that mode. The filter fucking ruins things.
Oh, did you try it?
I tried it once, and I was like, nah, I'm not doing this again.
The Kurosawa mode, I like it. I see the appeal of it, but it's also kind of annoying. Like, I wouldn't leave it on for too long, because it's like, not only is it black and white and it has like the film look to it, but it also kind of has this weird effect on the audio where it sounds like it's being put through a filter, and it just sounds really weird.
Yeah.
Especially like, I was on a mission where one of the mission, like the mission I was on was finding like a white leaf tree, and it was like, when I was playing in black and white mode, it's like, well, everything is a white leaf tree, so I had to turn it off so I could.
It's like, where is
so I could actually find it. Yeah.
But also, shit, I don't want to like spoil much of Ghost of Tsushima, but I was like another game that I played through, which I never played as a kid. Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated. It was actually a really good game, despite what 2 critics said about it.
Yeah, it's weird because the critics didn't seem to like it, but the audience loved the game, so it's just really strange.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'd say it was not too strange, because that seems to be a common occurrence nowadays.
Yeah, it's like if a remaster or a remake doesn't do exactly as it should, then they just throw it under the bus.
Wasn't one of the criticisms that it was like nothing is different, it's the same game or something?
It was exactly that. What was it? GameSpot, they said that they added, and IGN, they both said that they added nothing new to the fucking game, even though they added like extra modes to a fight and some cut content that was not in the original game, and a multiplayer mode, which honestly I didn't really try the multiplayer mode because as soon as I got the platinum I deleted the game. But yeah, it was a fun game. Yeah,
it's almost like they didn't play the game or they didn't pay any attention when they played it.
Yeah, especially how one of them is like you're trying to do a puzzle, which I will agree the puzzle is hard or tedious and annoying, but it's not hard. It's not hard to do like GameSpot was trying to do.
Yeah, I guess it's not too surprising because there are certain game journos are just really bad at games. Like we saw that with like Doom in particular as well. Doom and Cuphead.
Yeah, Doom, Cuphead, and some other games I just forget, but they keep saying like it's a Dark Souls of this, Dark Souls of that. It's like shut up.
Yeah, really.
And I think there was one more since I was just talking about games, and I could just actually say like something like film or
yeah,
and something like I was gonna say something my girlfriend introduced, which was like Trailer Park Boys. Mm-hmm. Like that show, essentially, if I can describe it, it's essentially kind of like a Canadian version of Workaholics, but with kind of like a mockumentary style to it.
I've heard of that show. I've been meaning to watch it. Like, if it's like Workaholics, then I'll probably enjoy it.
It is. Like, the only thing I will say is that the first season is kind of slow and dull. But it's not. After the first season, or halfway through the first season, it actually picks up and it becomes a better show. And fun fact, Ellen Page was actually in it.
Oh, God.
She played a character in season 2.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I didn't know that until I looked up the cast for it.
Yeah. So I guess we can go into the what was it? Or the last question, what do we think deserves Game of the Year so far?
Yeah, like all the games that came out this year, which one deserves it?
I want to say I haven't beaten Ghost of Tsushima, I can't say that's mine yet, but I feel like it's probably a toss-up between that and Doom Eternal. Doom Eternal was really great, and it's just like it improved upon like pretty much everything the first game did, and I was really impressed with a lot of it. So, and I beat the game, so I would have to, it was really challenging. It did get kind of bullshit like with the Marauders and stuff, but other than that, it's a pretty fun game, and it's a pretty decently challenging game if you're playing it on like ultra violence or something.
Yeah, the hardest difficulty.
I will say you really have to abuse the chainsaw with that fucking because chainsawing enemies basically is your way of just getting ammo at that point. Like you really need to chainsaw everything.
Yep. Yeah, it's like I just see that as like a lot of people hated the Marauder fight, but yet there are some people that just go, "Oh, hey, these are Marauders, dead."
Yeah, they're just they're obnoxious enemies. I've never liked them.
No, they don't seem like good types. But great. I actually don't know what my picks would be for Game of the Year, honestly. Like, on one hand, I want to say Ghost of Tsushima, but like you said, I hadn't beaten it either. But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the only other big game I know is coming out next is obviously like Cyberpunk. So Cyberpunk could really like blow me away, and I sort of expect it to, considering this is CD Projekt Red and they've never really disappointed me.
Yeah, they never disappointed. What was the other games that came out this year? Persona 5 Royal came out. Like, honestly, I think like if you had to really put down to it, it'll probably be either Ghost of Tsushima, Animal Crossing New Horizons. In some way, it'll probably be a Game of the Year for like Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
Unless Paper Mario steals it, but I don't know. But honestly, I could safely say that it'll probably be Ghost of Tsushima, Animal Crossing, and probably
Doom Eternal.
Probably Doom Eternal as well.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
But no, there's one game that'll trump it all, which is Last of Us 2.
I will bet they will probably try to put that as game of the year, though. Just it would not surprise me if that ended up being like game of the year. I mean, it's listed on Metacritic as a must play, so you know it would not surprise me.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me that they did this shit, but at the same time, it has no.
It's funny when that's a Metacritic must play, but not Ghost of Tsushima.
No, I think they will put like Ghost of Tsushima on there. Or
you think so?
I think they will. Like for the Game Awards, they'll probably put it on there.
Oh no! I was just saying with the Metacritic, how they like they have that stupid Metacritic must play thing over The Last of Us, and they probably won't do that for Ghost of Tsushima.
Back to the whole debacle of Metacritic. Yep, they probably won't because Metacritic is dumb.
Probably not. No.
Even though it has much more sales, much more attention than The Last of Us.
Yeah, it's just it's just the approved games you can do that for.
Yeah, it's like I don't understand why you do this shit.
But I think that's probably going to wrap things up here. We've been going for like a little over an hour, so I think we've made some pretty good time on this podcast. It didn't go for too long.
Yep.
But I think we covered a lot of the necessary subjects and talked about some interesting things.
Yeah, it was exactly what we're going for.
Yep. So yeah, I guess we can end this with kind of plugging our stuff. I guess I'll go first, considering this is my show.
Yep, but, totally yours. I have no credentials over this.
Yeah. Obviously, you can find me on here at Captain Chaos. You can also find me on Twitter by the same name, and you can also find my art related accounts, which is Enigmatic Arts at Instagram, as well as I also have recently opened an Etsy print shop, so I'm selling some of my prints on there. That is Enigmatic Prints at Etsy.com. I will be listing those in the description, so you can find those. That's where you can find me. How about you, Levy? What are your plugs?
Plugs: YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. It's the same name. Just Levy Option. It's the same name. I'm not doing art. I have no Instagram. I don't believe in Instagram.
Yeah.
I'm too entitled for it.
Okay, well, I think that was a pretty good podcast, and I guess how often are we going to be doing this? Like,
I don't know. I still can't believe that this is a real fucking thing.
I know you suggested it, and then we just kind of went ahead with it. So
yeah, it's kind of like a suggestion, and it's like, hey, we're fucking doing this right now. I don't know. I kind of want to say either bi-weekly or...
Yeah, I think bi-weekly is good.
Bi-weekly.
So, yeah, you can probably expect it to be around that frequent. So, yeah, I guess until next time, we will see you all later.